what's our first topic?
Well, breaking news last night, Deadline is reporting that Legendary Pictures has hired Steven S. DeKnight to direct Pacific Rim 2, the follow-up to Guillermo del Toro's 2013 film. This will be DeKnight's feature directorial debut, who is most notably known as the executive producer and head writer of Marvel's Daredevil for Netflix, as well as the creator of Spartacus for Starz. No word on a release as of yet, or in what capacity Guillermo del Toro is to the project, as he was not mentioned as being involved in the report. The current script is written by Prometheus and Doctor Strange writer Jon Spaihts. Marc, thoughts on Steven DeKnight taking over directing duties on Pacific Rim 2?
Well, my first thought is this is awesome, because now we get a guy who I really believe in his talent. He's a young dude. He gets a shot at a big-time Hollywood movie. He was great taking care of Daredevil for what he participated in that, and he was one of the guys involved in the writer's room for these new Transformers films that really kind of got the shaft once Michael Bay came back to the forefront. So if you give me Steven DeKnight and he's doing Pacific Rim 2, I think it's the right play for the studio and for that movie franchise, because look, I love Guillermo del Toro. He's got a great creative vision. I think that when you watch the first Pacific Rim, it's great fun, it's awesome to watch, but the story was a little lacking. And even though they have the same person coming back doing this story, at least it appears from this report, Steven DeKnight being involved in that writer's room, in the creative process, I think is a huge boon for Pacific Rim 2. This is really, really exciting news. Christian, this morning at the pre-show meeting, we were talking about how maybe he had some really good ideas for Transformers that he can just throw into Pacific Rim 2, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's exactly right. The fact that this dude, I know a lot of people don't really know who he is. So right away when you say Steven DeKnight and people are going, oh, I wanted Del Toro back. Guys, this is a good thing for sure, because DeKnight is a very creative dude. What he did with Spartacus, what he did with Daredevil, and I bet you one of the things that he did in that writer's room was come up with some really good ideas, and the stuff that whether Michael Bay or whoever else said, no, we're not going to use those. Hey, can I have them? And now he's going to use those in Pacific Rim. I think that this will be a way for him to showcase to everyone who doesn't know who he is just exactly what he's capable of. I think this is a fantastic thing for this franchise to get this dude who's going to put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it, and I think we have a real kind of superstar director on our hands.
I just love that idea where it's like, I got all these great robot ideas, and now I can finally put them in a movie. Are you pumped for this, Schnapp?
I am super pumped. I mean, I know Dennis and I loved Pacific Rim, the first one. Saw it a couple times in the theater. It's a great action, like old school monster film. Like if you were a little kid and you like Godzilla and now you're an adult, you're gonna love this film because it had that love of giant monsters fighting giant robots. I mean, that's, yeah, I waited my entire life to see something of a large budget spectacle like this. And you know, it didn't do too well in America. It did great in China, which is the whole reason it got that whole second, you know, possible second film. Didn't go over too well, and then with Guillermo's Crimson Peak not doing too well, I think, you know, he keeps escalating his stories so that like every time he does a sequel, they're like 300 million, 400 million. You're like, dude, can you come on back a little bit, man? Like I love Guillermo's direction. I love his ideas. I love his creature designs. I just, you know, I think if he could like rein it in a little bit and get that budget back to like a 50 to 75 million, it makes it more, it makes it better for his genre, because it's like sometimes his movies are not going to open as big as what you might expect or what you might want. Anyway, I think DeKnight is a great pick for this. I mean, he did a great job taking over for Drew Goddard on Daredevil, so it shows that like he can fit himself into any genre. The guy's a giant nerd. Look at all his weird, crazy tattoos. I mean, he's like, I think I cannot wait to see what he does with this.
And well, let me ask you guys too, because this report didn't mention whether Del Toro is going to be involved or not. As a matter of fact, his name wasn't in the report anywhere. So, do you think that he will be involved, and do you think he should be involved in any capacity?
Well, yes, he should be involved because it was his property. I mean, it was the fact that he came up with the initial idea and he's working on it. Now, whether or not they, like, and Schnapp and I were talking about this before, whether or not they scrapped the entire script, but I think that what they are going to do, they have to. It's his property, so he's going to get producer credit on it or something. They're just not mentioning him in this because they're putting the focus on DeKnight. Now, the other reason why you got to rein it back in for Del Toro of the 70-80 million is because it makes studios breathe a little easier when they see a property like this, which the first one did okay, and he throws in a second one. Oh, it's going to cost about $250 million to make. They're like, well, there's no reason to do this. So, and I saw one of the comments in the chat board saying, like, oh, I hope they don't Josh Trank this guy too. I don't think that's going to happen with this property because Fantastic Four and Marvel and the Fox regime over there, it's a little, they've had a track record of doing that. I think that you don't bring in a Steven DeKnight, especially because it's Paramount, right? Yeah, because Paramount, they already have established a relationship with him now that. Yeah, and they established a relationship with him in the writer's room of Transformers, so that's obviously where this whole thing started from, where he probably had a bunch of meetings, said, look, I'd like to do this with it. Maybe we can kind of turn this particular idea into Pacific Rim. So I think they trust in him, so I don't worry about a trank.
DeKnight's been around the block, man. The guy's like, he did 4 seasons of Spartacus. He did like all of Daredevil. He's been in tons of different writers' rooms. He knows how to be a team player. I mean, he's a great pick to do this, and I think they are going to probably rework the script, change it, budget it down a little bit, make it make sense for what it is. And I'm sure Guillermo's going to be credited as executive producer. I'm sure story by.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they're still doing an animated series. That's the last time I heard about it. So it's Guillermo's property. They're just like giving the reins to someone else.
Let's get the Kaiju versus the Jaeger. Let's get King Kong versus Godzilla. Then throw them all into one big giant piece of
Alpha.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, click here to watch the entire episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because it'll help you stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here at Collider.